Actually, it's a great question, and I have two answers for that. Number one, as a country, what we need to do is send different people to Washington. We need to send people who want to do the people's business and know how to work with each other to get it done. I'll save some of that remark for my closing comments. The other thing is we have an income inequality problem in this country. We need to make sure that Americans are well trained, that the infrastructure is there for job expansion, and that people have an opportunity to get those jobs. And so I think that working on an economic platform, which was why I ran for the Board of Supervisors and partly why I'm running for Congress, is something that we all need to work together on and move forward on, because the income disparity is going to continue to cause even greater problems in this country. So focus on economic development and job creation, and also send different people to sit in the seats to do the people's business.
Then we get the first crack at the next question, which is also rather general, but a little more specific. Would you commit to holding regular public town hall meetings across the 5th Congressional District?
Absolutely. I've enjoyed them so much when I was a supervisor, and people are thirsty for them around the district. What I like to do when I'm going into gatherings, whether it's a senior center or someone's living room or a church fellowship hall, is I like to talk a little bit about my background, the reason why I'm running, and then I open it up. And sometimes people start talking to each other and forget I'm even there. So town halls need to happen, and that's really where democracy percolates. So yes.
Thank you, Jay. Tom Garrett, Tom House?
Absolutely.
Very good. You get the last question, first answer before we go into closing statements. The question is, considering that women make 78 cents for every dollar a man makes, and that 40% of families have a female breadwinner, do you support equal pay for equal work? Why or why not?
Absolutely. I mean, if you're doing the exact same job, if two construction workers work 9 hours on the same construction site all day long on the same machinery, they should be paid the same thing. Unless one's better than the other, in which case they should be paid more based on merit. If two teachers teach the same classroom, the same grade, in the same school, the same job for the same hours, by gosh, they should be paid the same thing. This is a no-brainer. And so we should compare apples and apples, and where we see people doing the same jobs, and they should be earning the same pay. And if they're not, then the employer should be able to justify to somebody why they're not, because that's absolutely unacceptable in the American system. Right? So let's compare equal work to equal work, and then demand that there be equal pay for equal work when people are doing the same jobs.
Thank you, Tom Garrett. Jane Goodman.
You won't be surprised that I'm absolutely for that 100%. There's some things also we need to do to make sure there's equal pay for equal work, and I'm talking primarily about the single mother who needs to have support with regard to childcare, transportation, and workforce training. So there's some things we can work on to make sure that that becomes a reality and not just a dream.
Thank you. And now it's time for the candidates' closing remarks, 3 minutes each, and going first is Tom Garrett.
You know, the good thing about not finishing your opening remarks is you don't have to worry that much about what you're going to say during your closing remarks. I think we were talking about some of the stuff that we've done reaching across the aisle in Richmond. And I'll tell you that when I ran for the General Assembly 5 years ago, I didn't envision myself being captivated and motivated to reform our K-12 arena, but by gosh, the issue found me. And so I believe 2 or 3 years ago, there were 3 bills. One which reduced the SOL burden on our students. One which eliminated the draconian 140 seat hour requirement that said in these subjects, students will sit in the seat for 140 hours without regard to whether they achieved mastery at 70 hours or whether they needed 145, just 140 hours. And one that allowed for expedited retakes for near misses on SOLs so that largely rural and sometimes urban communities weren't penalized as it related to the state assessment of performance of the teachers and the students. And I was either the chief patron or the co-patron of every single one of those bills. And I know to a metaphysical certainty that children in Virginia's public schools are better off right now than they were because we reached across the aisle and led on those issues. And there are some differences, again, about recognizing opportunity. The difference between success and failure so often in life, whether in the case of an individual or a community or a state or a Senate district or a county, is recognizing opportunity. So I'll talk about Hardywood Brewery, which is building a multi-million-dollar facility in Houston County in my Senate district. And I'll talk about working with Governor Terry McAuliffe to ensure that those 100+ jobs and tens of millions of dollars located in Goochland County in the 22nd Senate District. And I'll counterbalance that with Ballast Point and Deschutes, who decided to move to Roanoke. It is important when opportunity comes along to grab that opportunity and to ensure that it's available for the people in the community who you purport to serve. And to understand that in the role of supervisor or senator or congressman, we are not served by the people, we serve the people, and to listen to the people and understand one thing, and that is that we know we don't know everything. Sometimes it's important to listen. And when you do that, then whether you're working with Terry McAuliffe or Tommy Norman, you can bring jobs to Goochland County in the 22nd District or Albemarle County in the 5th. It's all about understanding what's right, making a commitment, looking people in the eyes, and working hard. And as Americans, by gosh, we can get this done. Thank you immensely for the opportunity. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, senior statesman. Thank you, Jay. It's been awesome. I look forward to seeing you again as we move forward. God bless you all, and God bless America.
I would like to thank the Senior Center, and Bob, you've done a masterful job facilitating us today, moderating us, the timers. Thank you. And all of you, thank you for coming out. This is the way we get information out about ourselves. I'm going to leave you with just one thing. I don't want to talk about policy in my closing. What I want to do is tell you a story. And this is the way the story goes. I have been fortunate enough to serve a number of governors on councils and commissions and committees, both Republican and Democrat. My first governor where I received an appointment was Jerry Beliles. He's actually retired to this area. I happened to have a really interesting conversation with him a couple of years ago. We were just dismayed at the dysfunction in Washington, the partisanship, the actual hatred among people that are supposed to be serving all of us here in the United States. And it was creeping over to Richmond. And I said, what is causing this? You have a long runway. What do you think is happening here? And what he said was this. He said, you know what? Politics has become a blood sport. We used to fight on policy. We used to have principled arguments. He said, but now it's about killing. It's about annihilating. And he said, we sent these warriors to do the public's business, and they don't know how to govern. They do not know how to work with each other. And so I am so committed to the 5th District setting an example of the kind of person that should be up in Washington working for us and working hard. So I'm going to close by asking you to vote for me on November 8th. And if you've been at all moved by anything that you've seen or heard from me today, and you'd like to be more involved, we'd love to have you involved with the campaign. Thank you again very much for coming. I appreciate your time.